Hello, everybody. I figured I would tell how I ended up in the Philippines. So I guess the events that started leading up to it was in 2012. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So during that time, she did a year of uh, very strong chemo, which made her sick, made her hair fall out, all that. And after that was finished, she had what they called maintenance chemo every month, and they said that would be the rest of her life. And 2 days after the maintenance chemo, she had to go get a shot, which cost about $2,000 each time. Now, during the first couple of years, she had double mastectomy, she had reconstruction surgery, and all that. So she went through pretty much a living hell through that. About 2014, she had been complaining every time she went for her monthly chemo that her hip was hurting. And every time they just blow her off, say, oh, it's nothing, or it's from a shot, or whatever. So in 2014, I went to her chemo session with her, and we both stressed that needed to be looked at, her hip pain. Because first thing she did, she walked in the door and she said, my hip is still hurting. And they just kind of started blowing her off. I said, no, at least look at it, make sure. Because you're just going off the top of your head what you think. I want to know for sure. So they did scans, x-rays and everything and found out that the cancer had went to the bone in her hip. At this point, I was tired of dealing with that oncologist, not listening, that hospital, just blowing her off. So I ended up taking her to Cancer Treatment Centers of America in Chicago. And there we met with a surgeon and doctors and everything. And in the meeting with the surgeon, he said, we're going to replace your hip, put straps in the bone to hold it together, told us what he's going to do. And in the discussion, we had said we had been mushroom hunting in the woods because this was like early May, and was hunting for morel mushrooms. We live in Michigan, so in the spring, you get morel mushrooms. And he said that it's very lucky she didn't fall or hurt herself, because if she had fallen in those woods, we'd have had to get an ambulance and a crew to get her out of the woods, because that bone would have just broke apart. She wouldn't she'd have never walked out of there. So they did hip replacement, all that. It was pretty quick because end of May, I think we were back home and went through all that. And then in 2016, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. For me, I didn't have to have chemo. They did cut out 6 inches of my small intestine and supposedly got rid of all the cancer. I did the 5 year, treatment every month, CAT scans, all that. I came out clear of it. So early 2017, they told us that she was in remission. Her cancer was gone. We were celebrating. Everything was going to be fine according to what they told us. So by November of 2017, she had her disability, Social Security, and her job had told her we're going to let you go. We're not going to bring you back to work, which upset her. She wanted to go back to work. And I had won a long battle with the Veterans Administration over service connected disability. So we figured we have enough money to get by on, save up enough every year to take, you know, vacation with family. We could travel. We could uh, remodel the house, stuff like that. Spend the rest of our days doing that together. So November 30th on my birthday, 2017, I quit working. December 11th, she had been complaining ever since I had stopped working about hurting and a couple of other symptoms. So on December 11th that night, I made her go into the emergency room and get checked out. They did, I think they did a CT scan, X-rays and stuff, and the emergency room doctor come back and said there is a lesion on your liver. Uh, your cancer's back. And I said, "Are you sure about that? Are you absolutely sure?" I was kind of in denial, and he said, "Yes, I'm positive." And my wife said, "Oh, if it's in my liver, it's in my blood, it's everywhere." So December 24th, they had scheduled a PET scan and chemo session for her because they had stopped the chemo session after she was told she was in remission because they were worried about it damaging her heart, so they didn't want to continue that. So after finding out her cancer back or suspected back, they wanted to start chemo up again. So we were there at the hospital where the treatment center was, and they were going to start chemo. They had done the scan. While they were reading results, they were going to do the chemo. And she told me she had a shopping list. Said, "Go to the store, get these items for Christmas dinner. I want to cook this, stuff for Christmas, and I need these supplies." So I said, "Okay." So I went to the store. While I was in the store, I get a phone call from her. She says, "Doctor wants to talk to us. Get back to the hospital as soon as you can." So I paid for what I had, beat it on back to the hospital, and the doctor set us down and said, "We did stop the chemo. We didn't do the chemo because if we had done it, it might have killed you." And he informed us she only had weeks to live at that time. So uh, I called our children. We have two children, and I have two older children in Kentucky, but they couldn't come. But our son was in North Carolina, and our daughter was working in town. Informed them, and they came and stayed with us until January 3rd when she passed away. She passed away January 3rd, 2018, and we'd been together 34 years at that time. So I spent the next couple of years by myself in Michigan. My son was back working in North Carolina. My daughter had went to Colorado to work. My two oldest children, of course, in Kentucky. That's where I'm originally from. And my brother, I did hobbies, work around the house, bought a drone, started flying a drone for a hobby. And my brother had contacted me and said, "We have the house down here in Kentucky, born and raised there." He said, "You come live down here, get away from Michigan for a while and rent free. You just pay your electric and water and all that." So I ended up going down there. And the first while my oldest daughter from a previous marriage stayed with me and a couple of grandchildren, COVID hit, and I started getting into the hobby of building guitars and stuff like that during COVID. And after COVID, they moved out, so I was kind of on my own again. And I'd been making, since I'd been there, back to Kentucky in the summers to take care of the place in Michigan. And it was so much work every time I decided, you know what, I'm going to spend the summers in Michigan and the winters in Kentucky. So I started doing that. And my wife had told me before she passed away, said, I want you to wait a year and find someone else and get married, remarried. And, I kind of balked at it. I said, no, I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And she made me promise. So up until that point, I hadn't really considered ever meeting anyone. So up in Michigan, not much to do at times. I started getting on dating sites and in the United States dating sites and found scammers. I found out I was really good at getting scammers, finding the evidence, and getting them kicked off websites or dating sites. Because growing up, my father was a bootlegger. Now, we weren't the kind of bootlegger that makes whiskey and runs stills and stuff like that. What we did, we lived in a dry county in Kentucky. You go to a wet county, buy beer, whiskey, and everything, or wine, or whatever, bring it back to the dry county and resell it. Still illegal, so you had to be very careful about who you sold anything to. You didn't know them, you didn't sell to them. And I learned at an early age doing that you got to be able to tell when somebody's bullshitting you, when they're lying, or if they're not who they say they are. So I got very good at picking out bullshit and got very good at judging people by how they act, knowing when to be cautious and when somebody was being straight with you. So after a while, I stumbled on a couple of Philippine videos and started watching those. Filipina P, Old Dog New Tricks, a couple or three others. And I had been to the Philippines back in 1975 when I was in the Navy. But I never really got to experience the Philippines, beaches, anything like that. Everything was, naval base and bars, pretty much along the coast. So I kind of got interested in that, and I got on some Philippine dating sites as Filipina, Christian Filipina, and Filipina Cupid. And I started tracking down scammers and getting them knocked off the dating sites. It's easy to tell somebody's scamming. You do enough investigation, you can find they have more than one Facebook page or social media where they have, you know, their husband or whatever, and then there's the other one that they use for giving you online to scam you. And there's other ways you can tell in the profile. It's easy to pick out a scammer if you know what you're looking for. But anyway, I did that for a while and decided that 2023, toward the end of the year, like maybe January of 2024, I want to come here on a vacation. I want to go to the Philippines and actually experience it as a tourist, see the beaches, sites, the stuff I didn't do when I was here in the Navy. And I figured, busting these scammers, maybe I get lucky and find somebody, or maybe I wouldn't. And I did talk to a couple of other people. But in March or April of 2023, I started having symptoms, and I thought maybe, I don't know what that was about. I thought maybe my cancer was back. So I suspended my accounts, just hid them. I deleted the Filipino Cupid, but kept Christian Filipino because I was paying for that service. And got my colonoscopy, all that done, got checked out, came out clean. So then I reactivated my account, and about 3 days I started talking to Ann, and she had been on the site 3 days. So we started talking, and at first I thought, scammer, and I'll find out everything I can, get her off the site. But she passed every test I gave. I didn't even have to ask. She was sending me her driver's license, all kinds of, you know, paperwork, show me who she was, and she never lied to me about anything. So got to talking to her, and we got the grooving pretty good. We have our disagreements like anybody, but we get along well. By July, I decided I was going to go ahead and come here and meet Ann, and I had went to book a ticket on ASAP Tickets, which I don't recommend them at all, but I did get here and back home, not without issues through their service. But they told me, said, if you go in July and come back in August, stay a month, you'll save a lots of money. So I went with that. I came here the first time in last week of July 2023, met Ann in Cebu City. Then we left Cebu City, went to Depalog for a couple of days, got to see Depitan, and then the rest of the time I spent here where we're at now at her home. So after that month, I went back to the United States and took care of some stuff there. And by November of 2023, I came here to stay long term. So I spend about 8 months here in the Philippines and 2 or 3 months in the United States, spend time with my family, vacation, take care of banking, doctor visits, stuff like that. So that's what I do now. Most of the time is spent here in the Philippines. I like it here. Like any country, it has its ups, its downs, it's good, it's bad. But me and Ann, we got a house here now. We uh, enjoy where we're at. We got a nice place. We get every once in a while get to go somewhere, go to the beach, whatever. And it's been really nice here. I like the weather. Michigan's very cold, a lot of snow here, maybe a lot of rain, but never gets cold. I've never gotten cold here. Unless I was sick, had a high fever, get cold, but outside of that, I don't get cold here. So uh, it's been pretty good. One thing that I didn't like about the United States that made me want to leave is the political climate there. Uh, People judge you on who you vote for, which to me is not right. Like my late wife, before she died, Clinton and Trump were running for president. I don't know who she voted for. I don't care who she voted for. And I got attacked and called names by racists and everything, even by a grandchild, because they thought I sided with Trump, which I didn't vote for Trump or Clinton. I voted third party that election. But if there's no middle ground. You have to be one way or the other, and I don't want to deal with that. So that's one thing about here in the Philippines. I don't have to deal with politics. I'm not allowed to be involved in politics, and that suits me just fine. Uh, I see all the crap on the United States still going on today. It's getting worse all the time. It's no better than it's ever been. So nothing there that really wants me to go back, except for seeing family and friends. So that's my story, how I came to the Philippines. Have any questions, comments, put them down below. If Any questions I can answer, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll always try to answer any comments. I read them all. Sometimes I might not be able to answer them all, but I do get to read them all. And if uh, there's a question, I'll answer it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.